So hi everyone, I'm Melinda Sokolowski. I'm the interim CFS division director. Today's meeting is to go over our CAPSLO office guidelines. So we'd like you to get the guideline copy out. You can read along as we review the sections. We design these office guidelines to hopefully apply to large office settings and small office settings. And we really want you to individualize for your personal work area and your coworkers. So today I have a few representatives from CFS to help me through the process. Araceli, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Araceli Arambide, the PFCE manager for CFS.
Katie. Oh, you're on mute.
Hello, I'm Katie Hollingsworth and I am the Health and Nutrition Manager for Child and Family Services.
And Flora.
Hi everybody, Flora Chacon, Program Director for Migrant and Seasonal Head Start.
So thank you guys for being here. As I mentioned, our goal is to actually go through the office guidelines, the entire document. I know it's long, it has 6 sections. So make sure you sit back and get comfortable for this process. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so you can see the office guidelines. Okay, can you guys see it okay?
Yes.
And a quick tip for using Zoom, if you just need to make a short comment, you can hold down your space bar and make a quick comment. It will unmute you temporarily. Okay, so the purpose of the office guidelines is to ensure that our employee and client safety is in place when we're working in our facilities. We recognize that CAPSLO has many different office settings. We have taken these guidelines from local public health orders as well as applied guidelines from the CDC. What we are hoping you will do if you are a supervisor is we would like you to review the guidelines yourself, review them with your staff as well, and then treat this as a safety meeting. We're all really good about including safety meetings in our regular staff meetings, so we want this to be a part of your safety meeting. And I would like to suggest that you continue to have your safety meeting around these practices for a period of time. You're definitely going to want to use your resources when you're implementing this office guide. Adriana Villegas here at the HR department will be available to coach you, and she has a lot of materials that you'll be able to get from her if you want some support. We really want you to identify someone in your location that can serve as a safety monitor. We feel it's important that we have safety monitors, or if you want to call them a health champion or an ambassador, we want you to identify someone at your location who will be this person. This will help you with some of the documentation that's required. And the important thing to know about these guidelines is these are written as of May, but we still continue to get updated information, and we may need to revise the guidelines. So even though we're releasing them today, I don't want anyone to be surprised if they get a second version or possibly a third version. As soon as we become aware of new public health information, we want to incorporate it into our guidelines and our written documents. So please identify a safety monitor or a health champion at each location that you are at. You are going to want, we're going to go over the signage that's required at each of our offices. And then you are going to want to continue to keep in touch with your local public health orders. As I mentioned, things change fast, so please be checking in with your local public health. As an employee, we're asking each of you to review the guidelines, work with your supervisor when you have questions. This really should be a team effort. That slogan, "We're all in this together," really applies. When we're talking about office safety, It's only as good as what your neighbor is doing and what your peers are doing. We all have to take safety measures to keep each other safe. So you're going to complete a training verification form. That's your safety verification form, which you should be familiar with. So it'll just document that you've watched this recording, you've reviewed the guidelines, and you've discussed them with your supervisor. Okay, so we're going to jump right in to section 1. So 1A describes signage at the public entrance of your facility. Signage right out front of your building is important, not only for your employees, but also for your clients and for anybody who would normally visit this site. If you have a delivery guy coming by, or you have like a once a month person who comes to the office for business reasons, you're going to want to make sure they know through the signage that's posted on the outside what environment they're coming into. You may even keep your lobby closed for a period of time. One of the things I want to mention also is that as the shelter-in orders are lifted across the state, we plan to take things very slow in a phased approach. So some of these guidelines might remain in effect for a long period of time. We may want to taper down and take some of the measures away, but if you have additional cases in your particular county, we may want to keep those measures in place. So we're all going to look a little different, but there's a phased approach to everything we're doing. So 1B describes signage regarding personal protection necessities, which includes face coverings, hand sanitizer, and really those signs are kind of placed throughout the office. They can be in a hallway, in a break room, in the bathrooms, in your lobbies. They really just describe what you're practicing in your office. Signage regarding social distancing, those are the signs that talk about maintaining 6 feet physical distance, and that persons are to maintain a minimum of 6 foot, not engage in any unnecessary physical contact. And so we have sample signs that our HR department will get to each of our facilities. 1D describes that we're going to require physical distancing and sanitation protocols in your workspace, in your customer service areas, in your delivery areas, in your meeting and break rooms. And we're going to have a protocol that you can either post or pass out, and that's a sanitation protocol that'll be in writing. So kind of shows you exactly what we want you to do for sanitation. 1E talks about the protocol for training the employees, and that's what you're doing today by watching this video. You are being trained, and we definitely want you to have the opportunity to talk with your supervisor either personally or in a group setting. I think it's important that you get your questions answered and that you have the opportunity to ask questions. So, anybody have questions or concerns around section 1 regarding signage?
I would just like to add that some of your offices look very different, and in some spaces you may host families or parents, whether for seeing them to meet immediate needs or whatever the case may be, or if it's attached to a center. So please always just keep in mind that if families may be accessing your building to have bilingual signage and picture signage, so anyone that may not have the highest literacy levels can completely understand and be in accordance with what we are asking of them, so we can continue to give them services.
Thank you, Araceli. That's a great point. Okay, moving on to section 2. So that section 2 describes protecting employees and our clients. So all employees have been told not to come to work if sick. This is really important, and this messaging has gone out for a long period of time, really across the country. If you're not feeling well, we need you to stay home. Hopefully, we have done giving you the equipment and the support needed to work from home. We also have created emergency paid leave for employees who need paid time off to rest. But what we really want to encourage you to do is please don't come to work if you're not feeling well. And then we're also going to want to monitor employee health at the beginning of each shift. So this is where your health champion and your safety monitor come into kind of that daily check-in. So as you go arrive at your work and you walk throughout your office, we're going to ask that your employees are doing, either a self-report that they are not ill. And we do have a form, we have a log where employees can self-report that they are feeling well enough. I think this is important that we have these items at the entry points to our offices, because we want to make sure that if people are not feeling well, but they're feeling obligated to come to work, that we can create something and accommodate them. So please talk to your supervisor, work with your supervisor on this, but it's most important that you do not come to work if you are feeling sick. So temperature monitoring procedures for clients and employees, and appropriate steps to exclude clients or employees with elevated temperatures. So some of us are doing this because we work closely with the child care centers. Others, we have health clinics, so we're already, I know our homeless center is, our homeless shelter is doing temperature monitoring. So this is really a practice that has been encouraged by public health and the CDC. It's at the point of entry for the facility. You can self-report temp, or in some of our facilities, they may actually be taking temperatures. It depends. Some of us are large and small. This is something that we will definitely be wanting to take a look at. Sick employees with symptoms associated with COVID should be evaluated for testing by a doctor or urgent care. Employees may be asked to provide a doctor's note clearing them to return. Again, work with your supervisor on this. These are confidential matters, so we want you to meet with your supervisor in private and make sure you're able to share confidentially any concerns that you might have for yourself personally, or if there's anyone in your household that might be sick or that you may have come in contact with. There's the flyover. Sorry. The jet flyover is happening, so that's kind of a positive thing. 2D, sorry. Provide face coverings to employees for voluntary use and allow employees to use their own coverings. Everybody's cheering, sorry. Require employee face covering when physical distance is not feasible. This is important as well. If you've gone grocery shopping, you know how this works. Before you enter the facility, you must have a face covering. It's really about when you can't maintain physical distancing. We are not asking you to wear a face covering when you're in your office in front of your computer. It's more about when you get up and you leave the privacy of your own workspace, and you could possibly come in contact with someone and not be able to maintain that 6-foot physical distancing. We want you to be able to wear your own face covering, but we will most definitely have face coverings available at all our work locations. But it's your personal preference what is more comfortable for you. Okay, measure 2. Any comments?
I have a comment, Melinda,
Yeah.
and it's in regards to all employees have been told not to come to work if you're sick. please make sure that you contact your supervisor as quickly as possible once you start feeling symptoms, because we depend on you. And if you're providing direct services, we need to come up with a different plan to make sure that we continue those services with these families. And so that's very, very important. Yes, we are very concerned with your safety and your health, but we also may need to make accommodations and put plans into action. So please, as soon as you start to feel ill, please contact your immediate supervisor. Thank you.
Any other comments on section 2?
Oh, go for it, Katie.
I just had one practical reminder as far as the temperature monitoring went. This is Katie, by the way. If you're going to self-report your temperature before, if you're going to take your temperature before you go to work every morning, or maybe your temperature is going to be taken upon arrival to work, make sure that if that's an oral temperature, that you don't, take a sip of really hot coffee or even iced coffee 15 minutes prior to getting that oral temperature taken, so that we can have an accurate reading. So that would be, don't eat, if you're going to, don't eat or drink anything 15 minutes prior to getting that temperature done, so that we can have accurate readings.
Kelly.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on 2B in terms of monitoring for clients. So our clients are the families, and I know that the health team has done really extensive and thorough trainings regarding if a parent who is dropping off a child, if they're exhibiting a temperature, and what possible measures they can take to rotate who would be the person picking up, or changing who it is if the parent themselves is not feeling well, to ensure the safety of staff, but also we can serve children. So I just think that referring back to the health team and your supervisor is going to be important if we find that parents dropping off are the ones with an elevated temperature.
Really good points. Thank you, Katie and Araceli. And I believe it's our job to educate our clients as well. So helping them understand why it's important. If they are themselves not feeling well, how can we get them care or possibly testing, but also use that as an opportunity to educate why we have these health and safety measures in place. It's important. Okay, 2E, I'm starting right there. So requiring face coverings if at least 6 foot physical distancing or use of barriers are not available for service operations when interacting with clients. Many of our offices, you might notice, are starting to put plexiglass barriers up, just like what you would see at a lot of the stores. So there'll be like a physical divider between you and the client. We can work with our facilities department to help get these. We can either build them or purchase them, but if you have an area in your office that you believe would benefit from one of these barriers, please make sure we're addressing that. 2F, separate the following by at least 6 feet as much as practical. So this is in regards to your personal workstation. So take a look around you. If you're in a cubicle, are you in a low wall, high wall, no wall? And are you keeping that, are you able to keep that 6 foot distance from your coworker? Again, for specific workspaces, we could possibly insert higher walls. We could add plexiglass or clear dividers to create space. Or my suggestion is, as you continue to work remotely, that you stagger your schedules so that you're not all in the office at the same time, and that helps create that physical distancing. Again, if you have a concern about your personal workspace, please work with your supervisor. We are able to make some accommodations, but we need to know, because it could mean that we have to order something, and that might take us a bit of time to get it installed. This also applies to your client service areas. So where you generally meet your clients, you're going to want to make sure that you're able to provide that distance or that barrier between you and your client. Think about your deliveries, your drivers that come into your offices to deliver your water, deliver your mail. Where is an appropriate space for them to drop their items and have minimal contact with you and your staff? Take a look at your meeting rooms and your break rooms. We've been removing some furniture and chairs so that it naturally creates space, because we're not asking people to pile into meeting rooms when you can't maintain that space. And we are going to encourage you to continue to meet virtually for as long as possible to also help with physical distancing. Bathrooms and staff lounges. Some of us have shut down one sink and only left one open because that allows for physical distancing. So make sure you take a look at your bathrooms if there are multiple stalls or if they allow for many people at one time. We are asking you to close your break rooms for congregational or common area where you would come together as a group and possibly eat lunch. So you can still go into your break rooms and get the water, coffee, and the things that you need. We're not closing down our refrigerators. You can store your items in the refrigerator, but we don't want people to be in that area congregating and hanging out and eating lunch and not maintaining safe distancing. So we want to encourage you to have other alternatives as to where you can eat while maintaining that. 2G is talking about more about the eating and allowing us to use the break room. We do want you to be increasing your hand washing. We believe that hand sanitizer is a luxury, so hand washing is your best measure to take. So when you enter your break rooms, it's best to go right to the sink and wash your hands before you touch anything in the break room. Let me see here. Sanitizer and disinfectant and related cleaning supplies are available to all of our employees at all our locations. If you don't have touchless hand sanitizer or automated soap dispensers or automated paper towel dispensers, these are encouraged. Again, talk to your supervisor and we can work on getting you some of those items. Ensure employees wash hands more frequently and ensure hand sanitizer containing at least 60% alcohol is available in your offices and in your facilities. What we're doing is we're placing multiple bottles around the office setting. So it's really easy to enter a room. Like if you're going into a meeting, you've got hand sanitizer upon entering and exiting. You've also got wipes and things where you can wipe down chairs and tables. 2L is again talking about ensuring employees wash hands more frequently, single-use paper towels, and we want you all to be cautious about not overusing supplies. We have supply orders. We are trying to maintain an inventory, but we just want to be cautious that we're not overusing supplies when we don't need to. Any comments or questions about this section?
Melinda, I'd just like to add in regards to 2I, I just want everybody to be aware that the sanitizing stations have been ordered. They have been delayed, but as soon as they become available, they will be installed and the sanitizing will be available for all locations. So just heads up that that is coming. Thank you.
Great comment. Araceli, Katie, anything to add to the second part of 2?
I had one thing to add, and I know this will be, this is Katie. I know this will be elaborated on the cleaning and disinfection protocol that's put out, but I just wanted to add that when you are using that sanitizer and disinfectant, it's so important to look at that. The label, look at the contact time. You know, a lot of us feel really good and safe knowing that, you know, maybe we have some some wipies available, and you can, we're encouraging everyone to really sanitize and disinfect places that they've used throughout the office, but really pay attention to the contact time on those labels, because oftentimes, that surface may have to stay wet up to 5 minutes to actually kill the germs that are present on the surface. So make sure that you're using it the right way. Everything is diluted to the correct rate if you're having to dilute sanitizer or disinfectant, so that you're being as efficient as possible with your time and with the chemicals that are being used.
Perfect. Thank you, Katie. Thanks, Flora. Okay, section 3. This is about what Katie's talking about, the disinfecting wipes. You're going to want to check those. There are a lot of varieties out there, so read your labels, as Katie is suggesting. Also, make sure that they're available throughout the building. It is nice to be able, upon entry and exit, to have access to both hand sanitizers and wipes. We do want you to disinfect the high contact surfaces, and we want that done frequently. Some people have asked, well, what is frequently? What does that mean? It depends upon the contact, how many people are using it. If you have a fax machine and a copier and people are using it throughout the day, our recommendation is that you wipe it down when you're done before you leave, so that when the next person arrives, they know it's been disinfected. So a lot of us are already practicing this now, so I would hope that would be able to be implemented easily. If you have personal space areas, what some of us are practicing is when we arrive in the morning, we wipe everything down. If it's just us using the space, you may only need to wipe it down in the morning and wipe it down in the afternoon. But if somebody comes along and enters your space and maybe is touching your keyboard or something, then you would want to wipe if somebody else has come into your personal space. So requiring frequent sanitation and disinfection throughout the day, as often as needed. Once you have client contact, we would recommend that you wipe and disinfect after your client has left before you see the next client. And then we will have sanitation protocols. I know that we already have some in place, but we will have additional ones that will be available to you as well. Any questions about this? No? Any comments? Okay. There was a question about the documentation log, and I think that applies to maybe your larger offices where you're going to want to make sure that it's being done. You're going to want to create some sort of log so that people are able to say, I disinfected this area. The other thing that we've done is we've looked at your janitorial contracts, and we've made sure that our janitorial services have changed how they're disinfecting our offices. We're also looking to increase the number of days that janitorial service is available to you, so that will help that they'll be able to come in the evening and disinfect, and that will be an added measure that should help. Okay, moving on to section 4. This is talking about large gatherings in meeting rooms. For the most part, we do not expect to host any large gatherings. Again, we would follow our local public health orders. As gatherings start to get larger and larger, we're still going to limit the number of clients in the facility at one time. And the biggest thing is that we want them to be able to maintain that 6-foot distancing even when they're in our office space. We would encourage you to continue your meetings virtually when appropriate, or maybe do more than one meeting in order to not create a large group at one time, and keep kind of that, limit your room occupancy so that you're not filling up your room with too many people and kind of creating a space where people are not feeling comfortable. 4B talks about an employee at the door. this can be done a lot of different ways. Some of you have very small offices. So it's really about just knowing who's in the building, how many people are in the building. Another thing that's important about this is once you do have clients coming to see you, you may need to schedule your rooms a little bit differently. So just have a process in place that allows someone to monitor how many people are coming into your office setting, and make sure you have good schedules. So you don't double book, or you don't, again, fill up an office with too many people at one time. We want to encourage you to keep appointments with clients and not accept walk-in clients. We want you to have outdoor mailboxes or some sort of bin where clients can drop off and pick up items easily and in a safe way. So they can call you from the parking lot, let you know that they're there to drop something off, place it in the bin, and then you can take safe measures to collect the document. And then we also want you to continue to train everyone by teleconferencing and stagger sessions as much as possible. 4F says other, and that's a line where you personally can add something that you think applies more specific to your site or your program. Any questions on section 4? No? Oh, Flora.
I would just like to encourage staff to, continue to work with the parents as you are having contact with them, and educate them about utilizing face coverings. I think that is an important thing for us to educate them and support them for their protection as well as ours.
Yes, good point. Any other comments about section 4? No? Okay. Section 5.
I'm sorry, I did have a question about that. I just wanted to address, in the event that you have like a parent walk-in who may not be aware of what exactly our new measures or protocols are, or they were just referred via word of mouth, so they're not familiar with us, we really want to follow all of the guidelines we're putting in place right now, but still give them a nice strength-based experience, give them information on how we will be contacting them at a later date, virtually or over the phone, to address any of their inquiries. I would also like to remind staff that health and safety is our #1 priority, especially if you're one of those combo center offices. So having asking parents or following up with them during a pickup or a drop off and those measures in place isn't the most appropriate time anymore. So like it used to be, oh, well, a quick question or this or that. So we really want to distance and do phone calls and continue to keep our environments as safe as possible. So just keeping that in mind on how you're going to handle that.
Thank you. That's a really good point. So section 5 is, again, encouraging that social distancing, that physical distancing. We're asking you to place markings on your floors. You can use that blue painter's tape or something that won't damage your floors. But we believe that if you have a visual marker, even on the outside, on the sidewalk as you walk up to the building, and then definitely inside throughout your hallways, in your break rooms, even inside your private offices, it's kind of interesting to start to measure and see that a marker on the floor is really helpful. I think we naturally start to gravitate towards one another when we're talking. We're kind of getting used to maintaining that 6 feet. But when you have the visual and you're surrounded by 3 or 4 other people, the marking on the floor really helps you. So we'd like to see that in your office space. Limit your hallways or entrances to one-way traffic. That's another thing. It might not apply if you've got a small office, but look at your hallways. Take a look. What's going to happen if 2 of us come down at the hallway at the same time? Are we going to be able to get around each other, or how are we going to navigate that? Some of us have put lines down the middle of hallways so that we have kind of like a one-way traffic pattern for the larger areas. And we want to, really encourage that staff step aside and allow distancing to remain so people that can pass one another safely. Separate reception areas from delivery areas to prevent employees and clients from gathering. And just as Araceli mentioned, be gentle with your client. If you have to ask them to step outside because there's really not enough space for you to stay in that reception area, take a look at your outdoor entrance areas. Is there something we can create at the entrance area that would allow for people to wait outside comfortably? I think it's important to look at your entrance. Create outdoor areas for your staff to take a break and eat their lunch, if that's possible in the weather, with the weather being the way that it has been during the summer. It can quite hot, but I believe the more you look at the outside of your office, you might get some ideas where maybe we need to purchase something, a table, an umbrella, something that could create a safe outdoor environment. And then just make sure that employees have been instructed to maintain at least that 6-foot distance from clients. As I said, we kind of start to slip, like the conversation starts with us standing back, and then we start to kind of move towards one another. So if you see that happening, it's okay to encourage people. I watched a group of ladies collecting mail from a mail room, and there were 3 of them, and they were great in the beginning, but when I passed them the next time, I noticed they were all getting closer and closer. So I visually reminded them, you guys are too close, can you please step back? And they didn't even know that they had done it. So it's okay to talk to one another and encourage each other when you see somebody maybe not following one of these safety measures. Any questions or comments on section 5? Okay. That was basically it. Section 6 is really about you and your staff taking a look at your environment and possibly adding something that you feel is missing from this checklist. We want you to do a thorough kind of walk around and get used to, how does this feel? It does take a little bit getting used to, but here at Southwood, we've been practicing these things for a while, and the more you practice it, the easier it is to be comfortable. So any other comments about the office guidelines? No?
I would just like to share with everyone that this may feel uncomfortable and may not be the best approach that you would take, but nevertheless, these guidelines are put in measures so to protect you and protect all of the employees, because we care about you, we want you to be safe, and we want to continue to provide good services for our clients. So please, please take this and make it work. There is an opportunity in everything that we're doing. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Flora. I also want to say, lean on us for helping you. If you try things and you don't think they're working well, let us know. We will make revisions, we will make adjustments, whatever it takes really to kind of get used to this process. But please don't hesitate to send questions or make comments. Any other input? Araceli, Katie? No? Okay. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please stay safe, be well, and keep doing great work. Thank you.